terms of the Kodak coin, we're dealing with, the SEC, the NYSE, the board of, the 11th most well-known brand in the world, not to mention the entire, blockchain and ICO community, and it's quite a series of challenges. But we actually think that that's the future. At least that's the opportunity for us going forward. We see, I'm not going to tell anybody in this room anything that they don't already know. That's for sure. So, but we see ICOs. Really as a new form of capitalization for companies, but actually really more importantly a new disruptive technique for them to actually own bigger market spaces that they're already in. The reality is that we're probably, in terms of, we've been in the space since about 2013, which is actually, quite late compared to most of the people, or a lot of the people that are at this conference. And so, when looking at how to approach the space, I don't know that we're smart enough to be doing a bunch of the things that a lot of the really young creative startups are doing out there. And so, where we have found a market niche is being able to deal with the Fortune 5000 and addressing the opportunity within them, not just for blockchain, but actually for crypto economics in general. So, as probably a slide everybody's seen 100 times here at this conference. This is, typically what we saw in 2016 and 2017, and the ICO frenzy continues, maybe a little bit tempered right now, but then everything really has changed since the SEC has been stepping up their efforts, and I think everybody in here probably, aware that, at least 50 subpoenas were sent out yesterday to cryptocurrencies out there. And we don't see this as a bad thing. We see this as something that the SEC is just starting to get their hands around. We also believe that as regulation does enter the market, which is inevitable, the size of this market is actually going to grow and increase. And so again, we've positioned ourselves in that spot where hopefully what we'll be doing is spending most of our time with companies that, like it or not, are going to have to be in a regulated environment. Not making any judgment or comments on the young startups in this area that maybe don't have to play in that space right now, but this is just something that's a part of a reality of our market set. So, so upcoming, the ICOs of 2018 that fit into this regulatory regime would include, companies like Overstock and Kodak, and there's, since we built this slide, there's now a few others. But this is, if we compare this to I think if we're sitting here a year from now, just the pure numbers involved will be much larger on this slide, just because it's the size of the regulated institutional capital out there that will come into this market as we get some regulatory clarity. It's just, we're literally talking hundreds and hundreds of billions of dollars that are looking to come into this space. So. Basically, our model, just for what it's worth, is quite frankly, we create the ICO. So we're deep in the architecting of the actual blockchain infrastructure to ensure that if it is a tokenizable event or business, that it's built into the fabric of the actual business. So in the case of Kodak, for example, we actually were building a registration, an IP registration blockchain. As part of the core service for image registration, and again, we firmly believe that an ICO isn't for the purpose of just raising money, and nor is an ICO something you can do just to build a community. The fabric of the actual, the whole crypto economics, if you will, needs to be built into the product, the community, and the use of the token, right? So the fungibility of it. We spend a lot of time with the companies that we put together. In the case of Kodak, we spent 9 months actually building and working the economics with them, and then we invest. So we co-invest alongside. So we write a check, we put in our time and our resources, and we're deeply involved both in the equity and the token side. We do see that certainly in the future, the largest probably and most likely the most important part of what an organization like us will be doing is actually the ongoing advocacy or fungibility of that token. So the business development work that actually makes the token utilizable and increases demand on an ongoing basis. We think actually that'll be the biggest value add that with so many tokens out there, how do you stay above the noise? And the utilization obviously, or maybe not obviously, but to us it seems obvious, will be the most important factor over time. So that's where we'll end up spending most of our time. We kind of, when we're talking with potential clients in that Fortune 5000 category, the words that we're kind of using is consensus capitalism, and it's changing everything. So a lot of the organizations, if they don't understand it, they're afraid of it. But when they get their head around the fact of what it can do in terms of consolidating or unifying is probably a better word, their supply chains, or banding together the large existing customer bases that they already have, and they can get their head around the fact that it's actually the best customer feedback loop, or the best vendor feedback loop that they can have, actually building a blockchain application that utilizes a token that can be used for either payment or loyalty or tracking or whatever the case is. It's actually a pretty quick conversation with these large organizations right now. So again, we see a huge upside opportunity in dealing with this Fortune 5000 group. We have a pretty experienced team. There's probably 1,000 years of experience on the team, but probably most importantly, most of us have worked together for 15 to 20 years. And I think that's one of the reasons that we're able to make great inroads into the larger brands that we're currently working with.